Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive here on the show.
Uh-huh.
Today, we are going to be looking at a topic that is very relevant to a lot of people out there,
Okay.
especially in the creative fields.
Yeah.
Graphic design specifically.
Right.
We're going to be looking at how to be a good graphic designer, how to be a successful graphic designer
Yeah.
in the age of AI.
In the age of AI.
That's right.
Yeah.
We found a really interesting excerpt that we're going to be looking at today.
Okay.
It's from a piece titled Xing Xianye.
Wow.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce that,
Yeah.
but we are going to be pulling out some really cool things from this piece about how to blend traditional design principles
Okay.
with all these new AI tools.
Yeah.
And really a key takeaway that I think we can both agree on from reading through the piece is that AI is not here to replace designers.
Right. It's a tool.
It's a tool. It's a partner.
A partner.
It's something that can enhance your creativity, not take it away.
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder, like, okay, well, what does that mean? What does it look like? When you try to blend these two things that seem kind of disparate.
Yeah. I think the piece also emphasizes that even with AI, those core design principles,
Right.
like we can't forget about those.
Which ones are we talking about here?
Those foundational things like your color theory, typography composition,
Mm.
understanding visual hierarchy.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's
Like the
like
classic design stuff
the classic stuff.
that they teach in art school.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And so those things are still super important because even if AI is helping you generate things,
Right.
it's still ultimately you as the designer who's making choices about how those elements are being used.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just a jumbled mess, right?
Exactly. It
Uh-oh.
could be chaos,
Yeah.
You could end up with something that's visually jarring or confusing.
Right, and who wants to look at that?
Exactly. Nobody
Use that website or whatever it may be.
No, it's a bad user experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where that understanding of things like visual hierarchy comes in. Like knowing how to guide the viewer's eye, where to look first, second, third, what's the most important element.
Right.
AI can actually help you analyze and optimize that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they can actually make those design principles even better.
Yeah, it can enhance your use of them.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So it's not like it's going to do it for you, but it's going to like boost it.
It's like having a superpowered assistant.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
Right.
So what would you say to people who are listening who maybe are thinking, you know what? This is all well and good.
Yeah.
But like when I hear AI, my first thought is robots are going to be taking our jobs.
Oh,
Robots are going to be designing everything now.
sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a valid concern. It's something that a lot of people are worried about. But I think the key takeaway from this excerpt
Yeah.
and from a lot of the conversations happening in the design world is that AI is really more of a tool. It's a way to elevate what we do,
Gotcha.
not to eliminate us.
So it's not like you wake up one day and there's just robots making all the logos now.
No, not quite.
Okay, good.
At least not yet.
Okay, I was going to say I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
So can you give me an example of like how that would actually look like in a real world scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. So, imagine you're working on a logo design project.
Okay.
Traditionally, that could take you, hours and hours to come up with different concepts and mock-ups.
Yeah.
But with AI, you can actually automate a lot of that initial process.
Okay.
The excerpt mentions that some AI tools can cut logo design time by something like 80%.
80%? Are you serious?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so you could use a tool like Midjourney, for example, to generate, let's say, a dozen different logo variations in minutes.
Wow.
And then you, as the designer, can go in and refine those choices, maybe combine elements from different variations,
Okay.
and really put your own creative spin on it.
I see. So it's like it's doing all that boring, repetitive work,
Exactly.
and then you can get to the fun, creative stuff.
Yeah, all that initial brainstorming and exploration AI can handle that, so you can focus on the higher level. Okay,
Which is really where the human element is irreplaceable.
gotcha.
Right.
So this kind of leads me to my next thought,
Yeah.
which is, if everyone is using the same tools,
Right.
aren't we all going to start making the same things?
That's a great question, and it's something that I think a lot of designers are grappling with.
Yeah.
But I think the key here is that AI should be used to enhance your own personal style, not to replace it.
Okay.
It's like you were saying earlier about those core design principles.
Yeah,
Those are still the foundation.
gotcha.
And AI can help you apply them in new and interesting ways, but it shouldn't dictate your entire creative process.
So it's like using a fancy new oven to bake a cake,
Exactly.
but the recipe is still yours.
Exactly. The oven might help you bake the cake more evenly or more quickly,
Okay.
but it's still your recipe that determines the flavor and the overall experience.
Right.
And so in design, you can use AI to experiment with different color palettes or layouts.
Or to generate imagery. But it's ultimately your vision and your choices that guide the process.
So how can designers make sure that they're not just kind of going with the flow and letting the algorithm do its thing?
Right.
How do they keep their own vision front and center?
It's all about being intentional.
Okay.
Using AI as a tool for exploration,
Okay.
but always making conscious choices that align with your vision for the project.
Gotcha.
And I think the excerpt really stresses the importance of developing your own personal style through experimentation. That's what makes you stand out,
Right.
Even in an age of AI, that's what's going to differentiate you from everyone else.
So it's not just about learning the software. It's about really understanding yourself as a designer.
Absolutely. It's about knowing what you want to say with your work
Yeah.
and then using all the tools at your disposal, including AI, to express that vision effectively.
I love that.
Right.
So I'm thinking about all this and I'm like, this is a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
The design world is changing fast enough as it is.
Right.
Now you add AI to the mix.
Yeah.
It feels like things are moving at warp speed.
It's a lot to take in for sure.
Yeah. So how do you even begin to stay current?
Well, the excerpt actually gives some really practical advice on that.
Okay. What does it say?
It encourages active experimentation.
Okay.
So don't be afraid to play around with new software, try out different AI tools. There's tons of resources available online.
Right.
Like Coursera has some great courses on AI and design.
Oh, really? I should check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm always trying to learn new stuff.
Yeah, and then there are communities like Dribbble,
Oh, yeah.
where you can see what other designers are doing, get inspiration and tips.
Yeah.
So it's really about staying curious,
Yeah.
and constantly learning and evolving as a designer.
So it sounds like the key takeaway here is that to be a successful graphic designer today,
Yeah.
you need a strong foundation in those traditional design principles.
Right.
But also a willingness to explore and master these new AI tools.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between the timeless principles of design
Yeah.
and the cutting-edge capabilities of AI.
That's so well said.
Thanks.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI and graphic design, what's the one thing you really hope our listener takes away from all of this?
Well, I think this AI is a powerful tool, but ultimately its impact depends on the creative minds who wield it.
Wow, that's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
So for all you designers out there,
Yeah.
embrace the power of AI, but don't forget your own unique vision.
Right.
It's a combination of both that's going to lead to truly amazing things.
I agree.
We've only scratched the surface today,
Yeah.
but hopefully this deep dive is giving you some food for thought.
Yeah, some inspiration.
And a starting point for your own exploration of AI in the world of design.
Absolutely.
So until next time, happy designing, everyone.
See you later.